Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video tutorial for Maverick Render. In this video we will explore a new feature in Maverick called trace sets. Trace sets allow you to selectively control which objects and lights in the scene are allowed to interact with each other. Let's go to the Objects panel and select one object. As you can see, there is a new roll-up called Trace Sets. We can assign a set ID to the object. Let's for example assign ID number 2 to this object. Next, let's select the sphere and enable its exclude list. Let's enter ID number 2 and we will see how the cylinder is no longer reflected by the sphere. Using trace sets is as simple as this. Let's now exclude the light from the sphere. From the Lights panel we will pick the light we want to exclude and set its ID to number 3. Let's double-click the sphere on the IPR to reveal its object properties. Let's now enable the sphere's exclude list and enter the number 3. The light no longer illuminates the sphere and no longer gets reflected by it either. By excluding the light from the sphere, the light is also effectively gone from indirect reflections, which may not be what we want. To avoid this, we may select the cylinder and enable its include list, and then enter the light set ID, which is number 3. This way we tell Maverick to re-include the light as soon as the cylinder is hit. The IBL node also features its own trace set ID. We may for example exclude the IBL from the cylinder. Let's try now again in a scene with object groups. Let's set ID number 2 to this group. And then simply exclude ID 2 from the sphere. Each child object in the group may provide its own trace sets lists by disabling the Inherit from Group option. In this regard, trace sets work the same as render sets in Maverick. This new scene features a bunch of objects. Each one sits in a different trace set ID. It is often convenient to exclude all objects except for a few others. We may do this very easily by prefixing the list of IDs with a minus sign. In the case of this sphere, we will for example exclude all set IDs but IDs number 1 and 3. We may keep adding IDs to the list to exclude everything but the given IDs. In this new scene we will learn how to assign trace set IDs per material. This may be convenient to control multiple objects that share the same material. Let's for example exclude the light from the sphere's material. From the material we may decide what component or combination of components will be affected by exclusion. You may easily experiment yourself by toggling diffuse specular and transmission on and off. In the next example we will use exclusion in the transmission component. Let's set ID number 2 to the cylinder. And now let's tell the glass material to exclude ID number 2 from transmission only. The cylinder disappears from the glass ball as expected. This feature is extremely useful in jewelry scenes where the metal body may cross the volume of gemstones and diamonds due to imperfect modeling. Let's use as one of our sample scenes to illustrate this. As you can see, there are areas where the metal seems to be intersecting the diamonds. Let's set ID number 2 to the metal material. And let's exclude ID number 2 from the diamond's transmission. It becomes very evident what happens before and after. Trace sets are extremely powerful. However, they must be handled with care as one may easily end up with gemstones that appear to be floating. This is because trace sets bend the natural behavior of light. So it is always recommended to work with correctly modeled geometries and only resort to trace sets when that is not an option. This is all for now. See you in the next video. Have fun rendering with Maverick.